So in this example, we're going to use chat to dive in a little bit more and understand some of the usage and costs related to some of our ingredients. We're diving into a recipe on one of our brands right now. And what I'm going to do is bring up the chat and I'm going to ask it about the second malt product in our example here. So first of all, I just want to understand a little bit more about how often this one's being used. So I'm going to ask it, how many different brands is this product used in and how much are they used per batch? So, as I worked through some of the queries and logic there, it was using some good reasoning to be able to determine exactly what fields to use in order to give us an answer based on what we were looking for. And you can see in this case, it returned, we use this across 4 products, across 362 batches in this time frame. And you'll get a little bit more information on there. So now I want to ask it a few more questions to dive a little bit deeper. Next up, I'm just going to ask it, what percent of our total malt usage in both terms of quantity and cost does this item make up? So let's let it do its thing. Cool. And now it's going to return the results. So we can see that this one's a pretty specialized malt, right? And it's used in a very small number of our products, and it's has a much higher cost than most of our malts. So let's say now, because it is that specialized malt, if I'm able to lock in like a whole year's worth of purchasing, I think I can get a lower price on it. So I'm going to go ahead and ask it, um, tell me about the last 12 months of usage. How much should I use each month? Was it seasonal and min and max months? And this will help me get a little bit more confidence about how I want to set my contract to get the best price, but not over purchase if I'm not using all this data. So let's let it do its logic here. Okay, and that came back pretty quick. So now we can see what that 12-month usage is, what the cost is, average, and then the min and the max. It found a little bit of seasonality in there. So that could also be useful if I'm having to schedule, shipments throughout the year for the full contract. Now let's just take it one step further. And let's say we want to brew more of one brand and less of another brand, and then see what that's going to do to our overall usage. And we'll use that amount to go ahead and lock in our contract pricing. Great. So now it's coming up with some of those results and showing that we plan to use about 1,000 pounds more than we have in this past year. So now we can start to use that information to really get dialed in on this contract. So pretty cool, right? How it worked through that analysis. So we started with kind of that high level overview of this product. What percent of our total malt does it make up? Total malt usage, how many brands is it used in? Then we asked it to show us, well, what was consumption like last year? What were our high and our low months? And then we fed it some changes to our product portfolio of like what we think our sales might be in the future as we forecast out, and then had it recalculate what we might need to purchase if we were locking in a year-long contract. So a lot of really good information, right? And it only took us a minute or two with this chat to be able to get there. So I'm really excited about this tool. I think it's going to pair really well with some of these visualizations we have to be able to give brewery teams all the insights they need right at their fingertips.